There's a storm that hits after the storm. And it's not made of wind or hail or rain. No, it's a storm of paperwork, of fine print, and honestly, of unexpected six-figure bills that can absolutely flatten you, long after the crew has cleared away the last of the physical damage. So let's dive into how this actually happens.
So, picture this. A big hailstorm just ripped through town. You check out your building, and yep, it's got some damage. But you're not sweating it, right? Because you pay those hefty premiums on time. You've got that thick insurance policy binder sitting somewhere. You're covered. You're safe. Or are you? What if that feeling of security is actually just a complete illusion?
Because here's the thing. The real disaster isn't always the hail. It's the financial gut punch that comes later. It's when you find out that the policy you thought was an ironclad shield is actually more like Swiss cheese. The most expensive surprises are always the ones hiding in plain sight, right there in the documents you signed.
To really get our heads around this risk, we have to start at the top. I mean, literally, with your roof. You see, every single commercial roofing system has a kind of core design, a DNA, that doesn't just define its strengths, it also defines its biggest, most common point of failure.
So let's break down two of the most common types. Over on the left, you've got EPDM, what everyone just calls rubber roofing. Its genius is its simplicity, right? You've got these huge sheets with very few seams. But its Achilles heel? It's those exact same seams, the tapes, the glues. That's where everything tends to go wrong. Then on the right, you have TPO. Its big selling point is that you can literally melt the seams together with heat to create one giant seamless sheet of plastic. But its weakness? Oh, it's a big one. It's the chemistry, the so-called formulation wars between companies, and, just as importantly, the skill of the installer. A bad weld means you have a failure from day one.
And hey, this isn't just a theory. As one source puts it, pretty much all the industry articles point to the seams as the #1 problem with EPDM. And if you go digging in online contractor forums, well, it's basically a museum of seam mistakes. This is ground zero for the physical risk.
Okay, so we've seen the physical weak spots up on the roof. Now let's pivot and see how they plug directly into the financial trapdoors in your insurance policy. Because even with a perfectly installed roof, there are 4 hidden levers inside your policy that an insurance company can pull, and they change everything.
First up is valuation. RCV, replacement cost value, sounds fantastic. It pays the full cost to replace your roof. But, and this is a huge but, there's a catch. You usually get paid in 2 separate checks. The first one is for the roof's current depreciated value. You only get the second check, the rest of the money, after you've paid for the entire job out of your own pocket and submitted all the receipts. And you have to do it before a deadline. If you miss that window, that money is just gone. ACV is simpler, but not better. They just cut you one smaller check for that depreciated value, and good luck with the rest. Next, let's talk deductibles. We all think of a deductible as a nice, predictable number, maybe $10,000, but the game has completely changed. Now policies have percentage-based deductibles for things like wind and hail. A 2% deductible on a $10 million building isn't just a little more, it's $200,000. That is the cash you have to find before your insurance kicks in a single cent. It is a massive, massive shock to your cash flow.
And now for the big one. The sneakiest, most misunderstood trap that catches so many savvy property owners off guard. It's called the co-insurance penalty, and it begs a really scary question. Even if you think you're fully insured, are you really?
Okay, this is where it can get a little confusing, so let's just walk through the numbers on the screen. Let's say your building's true replacement value today is $1 million. Your policy has a rule that says you have to be insured for at least 80% of that, so $800,000. But maybe building costs skyrocketed and you never updated your policy. Your coverage limit is only $600,000. Now, a storm causes $300,000 in damage. The insurance company runs the numbers. They see you only carried 75% of the coverage you were supposed to. So guess what? They're only going to pay 75% of your claim. Your payout drops to just $220,000, and you are suddenly and unexpectedly on the hook for an extra $80,000 penalty.
And the final lever? Exclusions. The best way to think about these is as carefully placed landmines buried in your policy. There are specific types of damage that your insurer has just decided, flat out, they will not pay for. End of story.
Okay, this is where it all comes together. This is that moment of impact, where the physical reality of a hail-dented roof panel slams head-on into the financial reality of a single sentence buried on page 47 of your policy.
So let's run a super common scenario. A hailstorm comes through and leaves your beautiful metal roof looking like a golf ball. It's dented all over. But here's the key. It's not actually leaking. There's no functional impairment, as they say.
You file a claim. The adjuster comes out, takes a look, and then points to a little sentence in your policy, the cosmetic damage exclusion. Because the dents aren't causing a leak, they're considered cosmetic. Your payout for that damage? A big fat zero. Your property value just took a hit, and you're left holding the bag.
All right, scenario number 2. Remember that rubber EPDM roof and its vulnerable seams? Okay, a storm hits, and a seam that was badly installed a decade ago finally gives up. Water is now pouring into your building.
So the forensic guys come out and they trace the failure back to a workmanship error from the original install. Well, guess what? Your policy probably has an exclusion for that too, buried under faulty construction. And just like that, what you thought was a clear-cut storm claim gets denied. Your payout is either tied up in disputes for years or just denied outright.
So after hearing all that, you're probably wondering, how on earth do you avoid these nightmares? Well, the answer is you can't just write a check for the premium and cross your fingers. You have to be proactive. You need a pre-loss action plan. You need to find the holes in your policy before the storm does it for you.
Here's a quick checklist. You can do this today. First, confirm if your policy is RCV or ACV. Then, find the exact deadline to get that depreciation money back. Go through and calculate your actual dollar amount deductible for every peril, wind, hail, everything. And please, for your own sake, verify your property values are up to date so you don't fall into that coinsurance trap. This is your immediate to-do list.
And you don't have to do it alone. Set up a meeting with your broker and ask these 5 incredibly simple but powerful questions. Don't let them give you vague answers. Ask for real-world examples with actual dollar amounts. This is how you stop being a passenger and start driving.
And that right there is the entire mindset shift. This is all about moving from being a passive policyholder who just signs a check once a year to becoming a strategic risk manager who actually understands the powerful financial tool they've bought.
So I'll leave you with this one thought. The gaps in your coverage, they will be found. There is a 100% chance of that. The only question is, who finds them first? Will it be you sitting in a quiet office with your broker? Or will it be the storm when it's already far, far too late?